Okay. So this is the clock inside, and Reverend Turp, you were telling me a little bit about its origins.
Yes. The motion is made by Andrews. Andrews is local to Shoreditch. Andrews is literally 2 buildings to the south of us on the east side of what is now Shoreditch High Street. And when a man called John bought the building a few years ago, he found all of Andrews' equipment in the basement, like intact. It's a very, very old company in Shoreditch. We spent just the other side of £10,000 having the whole thing in a conservatory. It did a little bit of work to the wood where bits were flaking.
So that's the gilt and etc. the surround.
Yeah, and we have had it repainted back to what we, as far as we can tell, are pretty close to the original colours that it was. So there it has it. Right at this moment, somewhat to my embarrassment, I'm sorry you're filming this, but I have to say that the minute hand has fallen off.
Yeah.
And we can't actually open the front, so we are going to take the whole clock out, the back of the clock.
I see.
So the minute hand is down, but it's just come off its thread.
Because there is like a hinge mechanism, so there was meant to be access from the front.
There was, but the conservator fixed it so the front doesn't open.
So is the access only then via actually removing it from its...
You've got to go in the back and unbolt it and take the whole clock out the back, and then just screw it back on.
So here we are, just about to climb up the steps into the clock tower to have a look at the extent of the damage from the storm damage, as well as just the general state of repair of the clocks. Feeling this might go on for a little while. Yes, I remember him explaining. So this is the part of the mechanism which is powered by the upper clocks. Right, so here we are right up the top. Right.
You can see, I can see trees.
That's the one thing, isn't it? The front clock is obscured by the trees from the Shoreditch High Street.
I shouldn't be able to see trees. I can only see trees because there's a big hole in it.
Right.
And you can see how the clock face is not like flat right up against the stonework.
Yes.
But it's kind of held out a bit.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
With me? And you can see there's significant damage at the centre disc, if I can call it that. Has various lines across it, which I'm not sure meant to be there. But part of the metalwork and the windows there are down. And if it's to be repaired, Smiths of Derby wants to hire a huge crane.
Yeah.
Stop Hackney Road, all sorts of things, which is very, very difficult. And unbolting, basically trying to lift it out of here and through the trees and down. I'm highly dubious this is physically possible to do.
Yeah, and also necessary, perhaps. I mean, this is the crux of it, isn't it? Yeah. It's whether or not the expense.
Yeah, I would think that someone who is a builder and constructor and not a clock person would actually be able to come in here and say, we need to do this, this, this and this to make it safe and so on.
So, I mean, it seems to me that there's definitely a fine line between what those responsible for the heritage of clocks such as this demand, coupled with then, or rather compared to what would be practical to actually fix a clock of this size and nature.
Heritage people would just love to see their hands going round.
Yeah.
Frankly. And so would the whole of Shoreditch.
And this is a 19th century mechanism. Is there
Yeah, what has changed from it is that instead of having huge weights dropping down the whole length of the tower to be wound up every week, Smiths of Derby put this little motor on quite a lot of years ago.
That was in the 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has been replaced since the original, but I'm not absolutely 100% sure of that. I've been here 24 years and it hasn't been replaced in my time.
I think back in the 60s they kind of went through an electrification of a lot of the public clocks in the UK.
It certainly made it much more accurate.
Right.
But this has died. I think we weren't really the same.
Yeah, 25, 30 years of use.
There's current in it because you could feel it vibrating. And it sort of wants to go. But it is not going to go unless someone strips it down. It's much easier just to buy a new motor and bolt it on. A bit of lubrication and all the gears and everything. The clock will work. I mean, that's all that's stopping it. It's really just a good clean-up job. And it'll go, the hands will go around.
So are there any alternatives to the Smith of Derby's? I mean, I think that ultimately with the crane and all of the other things they might want to do, that's like in the region of £30,000 and up. So what is the alternative to actually get the clocks working?
They want a crane because they would say if they can take the hands, if they take the faces off, then they can do renovation work on the hands.
Right.
And the numbering and the face and all of that. Not 100% necessary. I mean, to make the clock work is a simple thing. It's a new motor and a can of oil. Sorry, but that is all it is.
Yeah.
And then the thing works.
Yeah. And for yourself, I mean, is the actual practical working of the clock a greater concern than the full restoration of all the clock faces and the hands, etc.?
See, what we were advised by the powers that be, that if you get the clock working, then it's very hard to raise money to do anything else, because they say, oh, well, it works.
It works, I see.
So what's the big deal? But if you say it doesn't work and it needs sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things done, then you raise money for the whole package.
Right.
However, as you might well know, there's hardly any money around for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a necessity. The church is not going to fall down if the clock doesn't work.
Yeah, and there isn't even a budget allocated by either a heritage fund or other for this specific kind of thing.
Because it's gone off to the Olympics so that you can run around a track for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, I mean, that is also the problem.
We mustn't get into that. I should get told off.
Yeah, we certainly won't be throwing any mud or anything.
I think I need to start with the position of Shoreditch, because we've got to go back to when Claudius is the Emperor of Rome. You are standing where Claudius based his Roman army. So all the roads that go to Bath, to Chester, to Lincoln, to York, to Colchester, all start and finish right where you are standing in Shoreditch Church.
Wow.
This is how this place comes into being. When the Romans, who got their naval camp in what we now call Chichester Harbour, came up the Thames, they came as far as you could build a way of getting across the river that's still deep enough for their boats. Hence, London is where it is. And you could go from here in a straight line down over the old London Bridge and then wind your way down to Chichester. So it is in this position that the first Christian people are sort of into England. When the Romans basically withdrew the military, the Anglo-Saxons built the church here, and then, I don't know very much about that, but then the Normans came and muscled their way in, and they knocked down everything Anglo-Saxon they could get their hands on, and they built a Norman church here, which is the old medieval church, which opened in 1182. I have to tell you this because some of the floor that you've already walked on are the stones from the old medieval church. But right outside I mean, one good reason why the army camp was here, right outside, a spring of